certified with 70% support. I think the brave Republicans like Liz Cheney, like Ben Sasse, like Adam Kinzinger, who are standing up to the bullies, are the future of our party. I think of those 10 people who voted for impeachment, you're going to see future governors, future leaders of this party, people like Ben Sasse. So I am going to focus on the positive there. I think it was appropriate that Marjorie Greene was kicked off of her committees with bipartisan support. Again, I'm glad about that. And I think you will see Marjorie Greene even be kicked out of the party before too long, because she will blow herself up as she goes along, and people do not want to be associated with her. You've seen a lot of strong statements from senators and Congress to that effect, and she doesn't represent the party. She represents one very red district, which will be redistricted in a year.
When Congresswoman Greene, though, says that the Republican Party is Trump's party, doesn't belong to anybody else, I mean, it's the same thing Donnie Trump Jr. said the morning of the insurrection. He said to the crowd that this is Trump's party. I mean, is there any doubt that she's right? Even Kevin McCarthy, who spoke, sort of against the president the night of the insurrection, at least was critical of his was critical of his performance, his leadership, and his lack of it. He is visiting Mar-a-Lago.
Well, Donald Trump has lost the popular vote twice. We're at 46% in latest, and we know his support has deteriorated. So even if you're only 10% deterioration, you're down at 42, double-digit loss. But it's more like 25%. So somebody who can only get 35% of the national vote is not the future of the party. A 70-something-year-old man is not the future of our party. I want to focus on people like all of the women that I helped get elected last year. Actually, specifically the board I worked on to elect Republican women. We opposed Marjorie Greene and supported her male opponent in the primary. But we have great women like Young Kim from California who voted to kick Marjorie off her committees. Joni Ernst got reelected. We have two new congresswomen from Iowa. We have these great members who voted for impeachment. That's the future of our party. And I think these brave people who won't bow to the bullies are going to, rise in stature as the president is shrinking. And I do think it's important that he is convicted, in the trial for impeachment. I support that. And I think there may be more support than you think, because just as, earlier this week, people thought it was over for Liz Cheney. Now she is looking strong. Marjorie, who isn't going to be passing any bills, won't be in any committees. I think she's going to be long gone before Liz Cheney or these other 10 who voted for impeachment.
But, what does it say, like someone like Lindsey Graham, who the night of the insurrection, got up and said he was, that was it for him. He's done with the former president. He was sorry it ended this way. But then, he gets heckled in an airport, which was very unpleasant, obviously, by Trump supporters. And then, days later, he's riding on a helicopter with the president going down the border. Seems to have changed his tune.
Well, there's a lot of disinformation, and that's what Ben Sasse was speaking to today. And I think Liz and Adam Kinzinger has been very active on that front. One of the members of Congress, Denver Riggleman, who works in intelligence, has been talking about that. I think we need to take that head on. QAnon has no place in the Republican Party, but it has no place in politics, and we've got to take that apart, lie by lie, and starting with the president's election lies. And I think the lesson we have learned from January 6th, which was a horror for me and so many members, I worked there as an intern, a staffer, a counsel, and then as a member. And I think the lesson from January 6th is don't lie, don't attack our elections, and don't attack our Capitol, our sacred place for our democracy. And that is why Republicans are leaving this president. And I think, yes, it's going to take a while, but stop looking at Marjorie Greene's and start looking at these brave leaders. Look at some of our leaders, people like Chris Sununu, who ran 20 points so ahead of the president. We have some great leaders who are working with people to solve problems.
Former Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joining now by Senior Political Correspondent Abby Phillip and Chief National Correspondent John King. John, is this the party of Donald Trump as Marjorie Taylor Greene contends?
Yes, it is. I completely get Barbara Comstock's point, and I completely get the fight she and others in the party want to make. Until they win it,
Can you guys hear?
When can they win it? Well, the 2022 midterms, there are going to be a whole bunch of primary fights. They're going to primary Liz Cheney. They're going to primary Adam Kinzinger. Barbara's right. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district may be redrawn. There will be a primary in that district. So that'll be one way to see it play out on the ballot. But just watch what happens next week, Anderson. To Barbara's point, the Republican Party is trying to escape Trump. What did Marjorie Taylor Greene do today? The day after her own leadership, even Liz Cheney came to her defense to keep her, to try to keep her on her committees. They lost. Democrats had the votes. They came to her defense. She's just stuck it to them, coming out and saying Donald Trump is the leader of the party, not even respecting her own leaders who stood with her. Next week at the trial, the former president wants his lawyers to repeat the big lie, to go on the floor of the United States Senate and raise questions about the election. So we're at the very beginning of this fight. Today it is Donald Trump's party until proven otherwise.
Abby, the tone struck by Green this morning. She tweeted, "I woke up early this morning, literally laughing, thinking about what a bunch of morons the Democrats plus 11 are for giving someone like me free time in this Democrat tyrannical government. Conservative Republicans have no say on committees anyway. Oh, this is going to be fun."
They need to kick her ass to the curb.
It is kind of what she wants. I mean, she doesn't actually
As in,
know
out of
how to
Congress.
pay attention to any stuff going on in boring old committees where important things are actually done. She's not going to be, actually getting any bills passed. She's just going to be like an influence, like an Instagram influencer, but in Congress. What someone on the program last night called a clickbait congresswoman. Is there any precedent for a sitting member of Congress having no committee assignments and basically just fundraising and making money off of who they are?
There probably is. When they kicked Steve King off of his committees, there was a period of time in which he was not going to be passing any bills. And even before then, I'm not sure that he was really doing anything legislatively. This is, just version 2.0 of the
She's been freed
kind of Republican Party that Marjorie Taylor Greene is advocating
by
for,
being kicked off her
really
committees. That's a
broader problem here, which is that there are Republicans who want to talk about issues and policy, and then there are others like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz who want this to be sort of performance art in some ways, about showing the liberals that they don't really care and that all of this doesn't really matter. And that is the choice that faces the Republican Party right now. Is it actually about principles, or is it just about this constant, bomb throwing in Congress? And I'm not surprised that she thinks that this is ultimately a good thing for her. I don't think she was necessarily elected in her district based off of issues. She was elected in her district based off of her fidelity to Trump, based off of her willingness to espouse all of these kinds of what we're calling crazy theories that don't bother her constituents one bit. So that's why she was brought here to Washington. So I'm not surprised that she's not worried about passing bills.
Johnny, you hear Republican Senator Ben Sasse say that politics isn't about the weird worship of one dude. As of now, that seems exactly what politics is about. At least GOP politics.
Why is there a line on my screen?
One of the still few making the fight, Anderson, and whether the people watching at home are Democrats or Republicans or independents, are not sure. But we need a competitive political system in this country. You want to have at least two parties. Some people want 3 or 4 parties where they're having debates about policy. President Biden wants to do a lot of big things. He wants to change a lot of policy. We should be having debates about those things. So Ben Sasse, you want people like Ben Sasse in the fight, whether you agree with him or not. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying that is what you want. But they're outnumbered right now. You have these state parties. In Nebraska, they're going after Ben Sasse. In Wyoming, they went after Liz Cheney.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
All of the Republicans who voted for impeachment in the House are being attacked by their state party for a vote of principle, which is why I say, again, this is a fight going on within the party.
They're the ones getting censored.
At this moment in time, it is Donald Trump.
The ones who have principles.
I'm fascinated to watch Marjorie Taylor Greene because, remember, they're in the minority. She's not on any committees. There's a long history of backbenchers in the minority, A, causing trouble for their own leadership, and B, trying to get a national profile. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. John King, folks, stick around and discuss the breaking news about President Biden saying his predecessor is too erratic to receive further intelligence.
That's actually
the White House, plus the former director of national intelligence.
True.
With us. And later, a major milestone of vaccines reached on the fight against COVID. What it means for our recovery efforts in this country when we continue.
All right, I see there's 14 people watching on Haps Live. Hello to the viewers. There's 2 likes, and only one of them was from me. Well, Does the like on Facebook count as a like? I don't think so. Let me look. Analytics.
Or you could not think about it at all.
1 reaction.
This is
2
our
comments.
security. This is
0 awards. 0 replay views. 14 live views. And 1 sleeping woof woof who goes to bed at his bedtime. So should I stay on Anderson Cooper on delay, or should I go to Chris Cuomo's show?
Want to build a gaming business that breaks the internet? That means working night and day and delegating to an experienced live bookkeeper for peace of mind. Your books are all.
Let's go to Chris Cuomo's show.
Trusted experts, guaranteed accurate books. Into a quick.
Kinds of conspiracy theories.
Wait, who's
And so now we also have
Caitlin?
the current
They have
president-
Caitlin on there? Caitlin Collins? What if I fast forward through the commercials? I'm going to go to Chris Cuomo's show.
Sugar.
Andy Fox. What do you?
Sense of duty on the right. Back so that he can't go join Newsmax or some even further right.
Are they talking about Lou Dobbs' show getting canceled? Not like his show's getting sued or anything, along with Fox Network for the conspiracy theories. How much are they getting sued for? Wait.
One way to try to get the lawsuit, in some ways, off Fox's back. That question really remains to be seen. It's unclear, Anderson, what the real agenda is here.
And President Trump, the former president, I should say, he sent out well, I don't know how he sent it out, but there was a message from him about Lou Dobbs, wasn't there?
That's right. This is coming from some of his aides. You know, he still has a few staffers working with him. They send out these statements now on Trump's behalf. Trump saying he's a big fan of Lou Dobbs. He can't wait to see where Dobbs ends up next. Maybe at some point Dobbs will reemerge on some other channel. But this is a similar, what's happening in the right-wing media is the same thing that's happening in the GOP. How much space is there going to be for extremism? How much space is there going to be for conspiracy theory, content, and television? Lou Dobbs' show being canceled is one sign it might be going away. But there's a lot more shows just like his still on TV.
Yeah, which make a lot more money for the network and probably have better ratings, so they stick around.
You got it.
Brian, appreciate it. Thank you. Reminder, don't miss Full Circle, a digital news show. You can catch it live streaming 6 p.m. Eastern at cnn.com/Full Circle or watch it there and on the CNN app anytime. News continues. Let's hand it over to Chris for Cuomo Prime Time. Chris?
Quick legal point. Dobbs being gone does nothing to the lawsuit. His
Yes, of
actions
course, yeah.
while he was there, condoned by his employer, and in fact defended in their response. That's all you need as the plaintiff in that lawsuit. I hope you have a good weekend. Best to you and the boy, Anderson.
Thanks, Chris.
I am Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Primetime. The news world is buzzing about President Biden. Listen.
Should former President Trump still receive intelligence briefings?
No.
I think not.
Why not?
Because of his erratic behavior unrelated to the insurrection.
I mean, you've called him an existential threat. You've called him dangerous. You've called him reckless.
Yeah, I have, and I believe it.
What's your worst fear if he continues to get these intelligence briefings?
I'd rather not speculate out loud. I just think that there is no need for him to have that intelligence briefing. What value is giving him an intelligence briefing? What impact does he have at all, other than the fact he might slip and say something? This is all over. Highly controversial. Quick take. By definition, it is not controversial. Because by definition, controversial means you're contrary to the truth. What did the president say that is contrary to the truth? If anything, the president was being too nice.
What is shocking you? Of course Trump would leak the information. He leaked to the Russians when he was president. We watched it happen in real time. Isn't it odd that Biden said he is erratic, unrelated to the insurrection? Why unrelated? The man showed he was completely fine with people coming to attack our Congress. That's a good reason for him not to get intel briefings. And why are all these righties wringing their hands? It's not a controversy. It's a non-controversy. One, you know the president doesn't control who gets briefings.